So this week, I've actually made a very last minute training adjustment. This is not something that A, I've ever done, or B, in terms of making last minute adjustments that I usually do. The intent is always to set a structure, to set a plan, and then to follow it through, regardless of how enjoyable it may be, and then to determine at the end of a predetermined amount of time whether or not the yield was progressive. So it's very uncharacteristic of me to make such a dramatic programming change on the fly. Now, what I've done is actually introduce an alternate week of programming. The idea behind this being, or the way that this looks, is I essentially have 8 different training days, like an upper body, lower body, upper body, lower body. That constitutes 1 week. The next week is a separate upper, lower. So in a sense, you could look at it as week 1 and 2, and they repeat 4 times each, respectively. Now, the intent with this adjustment is actually to provide a little bit of a deload on the psychological demand that comes with lifting heavy so frequently. If, for example, I get under a barbell back squat on Sunday morning, and I hit a 5 rep max, or an 8 rep max, or a 2 rep max, and then the next week I'm under that lift again, it becomes challenging to move a heavy load, considering I remember how tough it was the week previously. Regardless of if the rep range has changed, or the set and loading protocols, or the relative percentages considering intensity of the lift itself have changed, it's still tough to get under the bar when you know how taxing it was the week previously. So even though it doesn't make a huge difference, knowing that I only have an extra week, it makes a big difference considering that I'm getting a little bit of a breather. It's almost like a very, very mini vacation. But that vacation is not filled with doing nothing. That vacation is filled with doing different that is also progressive relative to the exercises selected on that specific week. So for example, I might get under a heavy barbell squat on week 1, and then on week 2 I might get under a heavy good morning. This introduction of variety and this changing exercise selection, not only does it allow for that mental breather, but that breathing space is filled with progression that's contributing to my foundation of confidence under the bar. I'm not just getting under the bar after taking a week off or 2 weeks off from a specific lift and then feeling like, oh wow, like I probably shouldn't have taken 2 weeks off from the gym. But rather, I'm still in the gym and I'm pulling other variations and I'm making progress with them. So if I come in and I hit a 5 rep max on a good morning, and then I get back under the traditional barbell squat, I feel confident under that bar because I know last week I got stronger. So in theory, this should not only increase my motivation to train, because it is always fun when you're not doing the exact same thing all the time, and at this level of strength, not that I'm a superhuman by any stretch of the imagination, but when you're talking 400 and 500 pound lifts consistently, it gets a little bit monotonous when you're getting under the bar. And yes, dues have to be paid, there's no doubt about it. If it's the only way to do it, I'm going to do it that way. But if I can introduce a little bit of variation and a change in exercise selection throughout a specific training block, I can assure you that I will look forward to more of my workouts. And if I'm looking forward to them with a higher degree of intent, then I'm going to put forth a better effort under the bar, and likely that will contribute to an even greater yield long term, considering progress. So we'll see what happens. The numbers never lie.